All right, so like I said, we're going to do a presentation for about a half hour and open it up to questions. And the first part of this, we wanted to talk about, why we decided to build the check-in app. And, while it may seem kind of obvious, we had the packet pickup website that was built into It's Your Race. But, one of the things that we thought we could do with this app is to bring you as a timer and your race directors extra value, reduce costs, make your life easier as a timer, dealing with volunteers, reducing the cost of having to buy laptops, having to have a dedicated printer for each of the laptops, for the label printer that we still currently support. And a lot of those things we can make a lot simpler with this app. So when we first started talking about it, that was our focus. This is a free app for anybody to use who's using It's Your Race, and whether that's, registration, gold, silver, the It's Your Race subscription, whatever it is, as long as you're using It's Your Race, you can use this. And so, that's a big thing for us. This is not a profit center of any time. It's just to make your lives easier, better, and less expensive, really. So as you can see there, as you all know who've used the packet pickup website, you kind of have to have a lot. You have to have a laptop, a chair, a table, maybe a trained staff member, maybe a volunteer, but you have to have all these things that our goal is to keep you from having to have in the future. So, as it says there, imagine if you could have as many check-in booths as you want, wherever you want, and no cables, which is what we're going to talk about here. So that was the goal. So this demo, as I already mentioned, is going to be two different things. I'm going to show you the parts of It's Your Race that both get the data ready for the check-in app, like registration, like creating an event, like importing participants, those type things. And then we're going to switch over, and Pierre will show you the actual app. So my part, I'm going to try to be as quick as possible, because his part of the presentation is what you really want to see and, kind of dive into the details of. Okay, with that said, and the other thing that we want to tell you is that basically all of the slides tonight, and that's why we have all of the slides. We've already made our presentation. It's basically going to have a screenshot of everything you're going to see tonight. So this first screenshot is about what I'm about to show you in real time on the website. But we don't want you to worry about feeling like you have to take screenshots, take a bunch of notes, anything like that, because after this is over, we're actually going to give you a PDF copy of the presentation that has all the screenshots, so that you can, if you have any questions afterwards, you can hopefully just go back and look at the screenshots and say, oh yeah, that's how I got there, or that's how it works, or things like that. So just bear that in mind. But I'm actually going to go back a slide and then exit the presentation, because that's it as far as presentation goes. So just give me 1 second. Okay. So here's a screen you're all familiar with, I hope. So basically, I'm logged in as our IYR demo account. I only have one event right now. It's the check-in app test that we've been using literally for months to test and get the app ready. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to go in and create a new event and just walk through the process of creating an event, and just to show you basically if you're doing this for the first time or if you're a long time person, either way, just what the steps are to get this up and running. So I won't describe a whole lot of this in great detail, because I would think most of you are very familiar with this. But again, you can ask questions at the end if you need to. So I'm going to just select my time zone. I'm going to select Eastern, because that's where I am, and select running. I'm going to call it a test event so I can do registrations with test credit card numbers. I'm going to select a template. I'm just going to leave the main theme, and I'm not going to do descriptions or anything. I'm going to put in an address here, just a test address, which doesn't probably even exist. I'm in Ocean City, Maryland, so that's what I'm going to use. And hit save location. All right, I'm not going to upload any logos at this point. And so that we can show you some of the features of the app, I'm just going to choose quick setup, 5K, 10K, so we have 2 races. And I'm going to do the same thing for, well, I've got to create a waiver because this is a new user account, so I'm just going to give it standard waiver, select, insert the text. Do that, and I'm going to create some shirt size collections so that we can show you how that works. Add some sizes here. Okay, now I don't really need any of these other things. Okay, I'm going to just give it 5K a $20 price tag and 10K, we'll just do 25. Okay, I'm going to say allow registration, yes, put in an email address. Don't need notifications. Okay, so just like that, I've created this test event. As we can see, if I click over here, then there's our test event. What I want to do now, obviously we've got the event up. We need to get some registrations and participants. So I'm just going to real quickly register a couple of people, 1 for each race. All right, that's 1. And we'll add another one by copying. We'll do this Jane. We'll give her a different birthday. About the same age, I guess. Not that it matters. And just leave the same email address. I agree. Okay. So, so one of the big reasons that we wanted to show you this is because we want to show you what the receipt looks like. So we're getting there. We're close. Hang in there. Okay. Put my credit card in here. check my waiver. Okay. All right. So basically, we're not going to do that. So basically, you know, the initial receipt page is the same as usual. You know, we should have 2 people down here, Jane and John. But if I go to my email account, all right. So basically, part of going through this process, number one, obviously, show you that there's not a lot you have to do. There's nothing really you have to do, and it's your race initially to create your event and actually have this work. So all of your events that are up and running and taking registrations right now, as of last Tuesday morning, Monday morning, I forget which day, but whenever it was that we took this live, every event has started showing these QR codes. So I don't know if you've noticed that yet, but that has been happening for the last week. Any event on our platform is starting to show these. So you don't have to do anything special to make that happen. And so as you can see here, that's the only thing that's changed. But we've got our QR codes and that can be used in the app. So that is probably the biggest change on the, you know, obviously the participant facing side of It's Your Race. Now, on the race director and your side, the other big change is in how do I actually, so now you've got participants, you know, it's getting close to race day, maybe on a Friday night before a Saturday race, you're going to do packet pickup and assign bibs. And so, you know, how do you do that? So we tried to make this as easy as possible. So you just go into event settings, and then down here at near the bottom is the IYR CheckIn App. So basically by default it's turned off, and so you just enable it, and then we default the date to, you know, the start time of your race, and then we subtract the day. But obviously that's just, you know, to give you some defaults close to your days. So you can do whatever. So today is the 12th. I'm going to change it to that so that I can actually, you know, this will actually show up in the app. And so the other big thing that is new in the check-in app is IYR, when you enable the check-in app, we automatically create this PIN code for you. And this is to share with your volunteers. So up until now, when you were using the packet pickup bib assignment, you know, website that we offer, basically you either had to go in and create all your volunteers as real users inside of It's Your Race and assign them packet pickup for this event, or, you know, we've heard that a lot of people are just, you know, sharing, you know, their logins and that kind of stuff. So what we wanted to do with the check-in app is make this a little more seamless for you, make it so you know, best practices, you know, should be only practices. You don't share your login information with volunteers and people that could do things to your races. You know, so what we did was we automatically generate this PIN code. And it's a 6-digit PIN code, so people who are used to banking apps and things like that are going to be used to this. So it's very easy. So we highlighted here for you. Let's say that you decided you didn't, maybe, I don't know, you didn't like that PIN code or something, or maybe you, I don't know, you gave it to somebody, you want them to have it anymore. You can also generate a new one if you need to do that. So, but just be aware that if you generate a new PIN code, it'll show it here, refresh the page, but the old PIN code no longer works. So you can only have one PIN code at a time per event. So just be aware of that. So I'm going to save this. And that is it. Now the inside the app, when either, you know, your volunteers download the app and put in the PIN code, or you as a timer who has access to lots of events, you know, now it'll show up for either way, either case, as long as it's enabled and it's within, you know, right now is within these start and end dates. So with that said, that's really all there is to it from the It's Your Race side. And here, I'll turn it over to you for the app.
So first of all, I would say thanks, Kevin. I mean, just look at the watch. I would say 6:26, so less than 20 minutes. You've been creating an event. You've been registering 2 participants and all. That's a kind of a record. So tonight, what I'm going to show you, the app really from A to Z in both mode. So the volunteer mode, but also the timer mode. And you will see, I will say, the difference in terms of functionalities and all the things you can get access to. So just in a kind of a nutshell, we're going to be going through the login, selecting an event, accessing the participant list, assigning a bib, searching for participants, and looking a little bit also at the app settings. And we're going to do that for the volunteer mode and for the It's a Race mode. So before I start showing simulators, so on my machine I have simulators of the app running. Might be slow by time to time, just because it is a simulator, but that will give you a kind of a full experience of the app as it should show on a phone. Before we start, so as Kevin was saying, the app is actually in the store. So both on the Apple Store, but also on the Google Play Store. So if you search for the IYR CheckIn App, you should be able, I would say, to find it right away and download it. So now I'm going to switch to the simulator. So that is faking here an iPhone. So when you load the app and you activate the app, the first screen you're going to get after a little splash screen is this one, which is asking for entering your 6-digit PIN. So that's the PIN that Kevin was talking about, that Kevin showed you in the It's a Race admin tool. So Kevin, I think that the one you typed was 366043. So that's the one that was in the It's a Race admin tool. So as you can see, the app is searching for the event. So I'm accepting. And as you can see, this is the race. This is the webinar 1 in Ocean City that Kevin created directly. So we're now really in full volunteer mode. So as you can see, this is the only race that they can see because that PIN code is associated with that race. So very simply, if you start now clicking on the race itself, it's going to be loading the participant list and it's going to be accessing the participant list. The very first time, obviously, the operating system is going to say, that's the Apple rules. If the app wants to access some hardware elements, there is a pop-up which asks the user to the right, I would say, to access some stuff. So here I'm going to grant the app the right to access the camera, because the camera is the tool that we need to scan the QR code. So I'm going to say OK. And look at that. These are the 2 participants that Kevin created a few minutes ago. So that's maybe, that's exactly, the participant list. So you have also to understand that the app is working not in a silo, but really in combination with It's a Race. Meaning, if someone is adding some additional participant, let's say on the laptop, you are accessing your race and you are registering some additional users, the app will be able, I would say, to get a refresh of the database and get those participants. Here, I would say the app is quite simple, and as you can see from a user interface perspective, this is very close to anything that is Google-ish. This is really using what is so-called the Google material design. So as you can see, the avatar, the kind of a floating button, which is the button on the bottom right, obviously this black button with the QR code logo. Actually, I'm not going to click on that because the simulator doesn't have any camera, and then this is creating a little bit of issues with the simulator. But that's the button that you will have to click in order to open the camera. And that will open a kind of a window inside the middle of the screen. And that's where, and then you can point towards the QR codes to scan. And these are the QR codes that Kevin showed you in the receipt of the email. So really the idea here is to provide a kind of a boarding pass experience for the participants. They can come with the registration being printed. They can come only with their phone. Actually, the camera app on any phone is so good that it can read directly a QR code on another smartphone screen. So that's good enough. So the participant can come either with a printed version or the email that Kevin showed you earlier, and then the app will be able to read those QR codes. When you do that, and that's the only thing that I will not be able to demo tonight, when you open the QR code and you read the QR code, automatically the app will jump to the participant details view that we're going to see in a few seconds.
Okay, Pierre, I'm done. There are more participants. So imagine that, you know, it's race day. Your volunteers are using this app, but you're also allowing people to use registration kiosks to register right there in real time on site. You maybe are even using, you know, you could be using Jaguar registration that's built into Jaguar and uploading those participants, you know, through the VPN. It doesn't really matter. However participants get into It's Your Race, they're going to show up when Pierre does what he's about to do.
Right, so let's say someone is walking to a volunteer and his name is whatever it is, but it's not on the list. That means that maybe, like Kevin just said, he has just been registered. So like any good app, we have a refresh button. So the refresh button that you pull things down. I'm going to try to do as slow as I can. So you should be seeing the pull down to refresh arrow. Then I'm going to let go. And then it is refreshing, and boom, by miracle, we have all the additional participants that Kevin had just been loading. That's pretty awesome, no? Right, so let's say that now you are, so I'm not going to use the QR code as I said, but you can scroll the list like that. And actually, obviously, the letter that you see on the left side is obviously the first letter of the last name. So it's sorted by alphabetical order. But you can also make a search directly by a name. So you type on the magnifying loop, and this is going to start a search by name. So let's say that I'm looking for someone who has a name starting with, I don't know, a K. Well, there is no one with a K. That's interesting. With an M, all right, so it's going to be McCallum Kevin. Oh, that's interesting. Let's click on this guy. And as you can see, now Kevin has been selected. The reason why you see that, and for the ones familiar with the Gmail app from Google, you should be feeling right at home. So this is the way you can select, you know, participants. So let's say that now actually I want to select the two Murphy, I would say Kendall and James. So two of them are selected, and you can see the number 2 here. If you want to deselect them, you just press the cross key. But if you want to select them again, you just select, I would say, the avatar. I will show you down the road why this is interesting, because you can go directly to bib assignment one after the other. So let's say a family, they would like, I would say, to have bib number 122 and 123 and 124. You can select multiple participants at the same time, and then we will do the assignment pretty much one after the other. But let's go to Kevin. So we click on Kevin McCallum, and this is what we call the participant detail view. The participant detail view shows you some information right off the bat. So it's the last name, first name, the gender, the age, and the size of the t-shirt. If you want to have more information about Kevin, you can click on this arrow, and this is going to open a tray which shows you more information. I mean, all the information that were used during the registration. As a volunteer, the only thing that you can really change are the shirt size and the bib number. So for the shirt size, maybe you remember Kevin created a list of shirt size: small, medium, large, and X large. Well, actually, Kevin has been losing some weight, so I'm going to make him a medium. So I've been clicking on medium, and then the app is asking me whether I want to update the t-shirt size, and I'm going to do an update. So now Kevin has a medium shirt size. I can close this tray if I want, and then I'm going to click on the check-in button. The check-in button is then, I would say, going to take me to the assign bib number screen, where I can assign the bib number for Kevin, and I'm going to choose 124, for instance. And then I'm going to click on the assign button. I'm clicking on the assign button. Automatically, the information is sent to each erase, to the database, and you go back to your participant list where Kevin was, and he has now the bib number 124. So now I'm going to show you multiple assignments. So I'm going to take, let's say, Kendall and Allison. They are sisters. They are coming together, and they want to have bib numbers one after the other. So as you can see now, I've been selecting them both, and I'm going to click on this icon, which is, 3 runners at the same time. And what it's going to do, it's going to take me one after the other. Let's say those information are good. So I'm going to say, all right, 125. And it's going to take me now to Murphy Allison, and I'm going to do 126. And boom, I am done. So in very few clicks, I've been able, obviously, to assign 2 persons very quickly with some bib numbers one after the other. So that's really what all the volunteers are going to be able to do. So really their task is to assign bib numbers and to be able just to change the t-shirt size. So now I am going to leave this simulator for a while. Actually, I'm going to do that. Maybe I'm going to sign out. Yeah, I'm going to sign out. So that's maybe better. So that was really the volunteer mode. So now we're going to move to the It's Your Race user mode. So you as a timer, how do you use the app with much more functionalities? So in order to do that, you're going to be using the magic pin code. So I'm switching to the presentation, so now that the instructions are super clear. And again, this presentation is made about almost 40 slides, and you will have it at the end of the webinar. So in order to get you into the power user mode, there is a magic pin code, and as you may have guessed, to some extent, the Jaguar pin code, which is the 524827, is the pin code that is going to take you to the Jaguar mode. When you do that, the first thing that's going to happen is that it's going to ask you, that's the screen on the left, it's going to ask you for your It's Your Race credentials, so the email that you use and the password that you use in order to log in on It's Your Race. For phones, so now we are moving to the screen in the middle. For phones who have biometrics capabilities, so like kind of a touch ID with your fingerprints or a face ID, recognize your face, like I would say the latest iPhone, the app is also capable of leveraging that feature. So the good thing about this is that after, I would say, the first time you've been logging in, it will be able to use your biometrics credential. It's exactly like if you have a bank application, like a Chase application or anything like that. This is exactly the same process. So after the first time you've been logging in using your credential, you can use the biometrics to log in. So it makes things super easy. You just have to put your fingerprint or just show your face to the app, and automatically you will be logged in. And the very first time you log in with the biometrics is going to show you the screen on the right, which is just, you know, telling you like any bank app, which is exactly going to tell you, you know, if you are using Touch ID, if you don't want to use Touch ID, you can toggle the switch to off, and then the app will no longer use the biometrics, and you will have to type in your password. If you are one day you're not comfortable with that, you can even clear all the login data and all the information that the app has been recording with regard to your login will be wiped out from the device. All right, so we're going to be going back to this guy. Actually, I'm going to use another simulator which has on which I've been typing in the magic pin. And therefore, on the magic pin now, after the magic pin, so this phone has not the biometrics, and that because it's a simulator. So that's the reason why I showed you the presentation. So the first time you use your email and the password of It's Your Race, your email and password to access It's Your Race, and then you're going to be signing in. So I am signing in, and now as you can see, I have also the webinar one, obviously my webinar one race, because it was done using the It's Your Race demo account. So it looks very similar, as you can see. So if I click on this, I am loading exactly the same information. If I go and I search for Kevin McCallum, I'm going to be looking for Kevin. And automatically, you know, this is exactly what we've been doing as a volunteer. So that's exactly the same information. But let's say that we made a mistake. Actually, maybe you remember I made a mistake. I changed, you know, Kevin's t-shirt is now down to medium, but maybe his age actually is not really right. So if you open the tray, now you're going to see that as an It's Your Race user, you have much more field that you can change. Actually, all the fields you can change are highlighted in blue. So for instance, I know Kevin was cheating. He's not 30 years old. Let's say, I don't know, he's more, I kind of say, yeah, kind of a large 44. All right, I'm going to do that for the fun of it. So now Kevin is 44. I can also change Kevin's division. He said, oh, I thought he was going to do the 5K, but as you know, during the It's Your Race registration, Kevin has been creating the event with a 5K and a 10K. So, okay, I'm going to move Kevin to the 10K, and he's going to change of division. And maybe, okay, I'm going to change again. I would say, I'm going to put, I would say, his t-shirt size back to large. And if I want to change his first name, I'm going to call him Connor. And I update, I would say, his first name. And that's it. And I can modify it. So his bib number is still the same. So you can modify, if I want to modify it to 222, I can click on update, and that's going to modify his bib number. So now he's 222. So let's say now that I want to do another person, I would say Murphy James, and I'm going to try to assign the same bib number in this 5K division. So I'm going to take Murphy James, and I'm going to try to do the 126. So I go to this guy, everything looks good, and I'm going to type 126. I'm going to try to assign the bib number, and the app is going to say, sorry, the bib number 126 is already assigned. Please assign a different bib number. And I'm going to cancel this one, so I'm not going to do it. So you need to be aware that every time the app is trying to make a bib assignment, it's actually checking with It's Your Race whether someone in the same division doesn't have this bib number. Because you can have multiple volunteers, you know, doing the work at the same time, but when you do the assignment, the app is checking on a real-time basis with It's Your Race that this bib number is not already assigned. Okay, so now we're going to be moving to a little bit more of the settings of the app. So Well, before we do that, because I wanted to show you how the QR code will be working. So as I said, because it's a simulator, I cannot show you how it works on a simulator. So this is the slide number 26. You will have the presentation. So as you can see on the right side of the screen, I've been clicking on the bottom right black button, which is the QR code reader. So it opens a window, well, kind of a, the window, and the window is actually firing the camera. And that camera, if you read the QR code of the registration, that camera is then going to read the QR code, and as soon as it recognizes the QR code, it's going to take you to the participant detail view, the one where you have the modify or check-in button. That's what it's going to do. So let's go back to our simulator. So I wanted to show you, like, again, any app, this kind of a hamburger menu on the top left is classically, I would say, the menu button on 99% of the apps. So you click on this button, and that's going to show you a little list of options. So if I go back to events, you as power user, you can have access to all your events. And for the ones who have been in beta testing, that's, I would say, the CheckIn App test that we've been using. But let's go back to this one. So the first item is called the check-in stats. So on a real-time basis, when you click on the check-in stats, the app is going to ask for the kind of a latest and up-to-date database from its arrays, and it's going to show you some interesting stats. So as you can see, we've been assigning 4 bibs out of the 24 participants in total. So actually, we have a kind of a 13.8% of the participants that have been checked in. And here, that's my time, because here I'm on mountain time, but you can see this is in the local time. So this is exactly at this date at 6:50 p.m. mountain time. This was the information about the stats. If you want to stay on that screen and refresh the stats, you just need to click on the top right up there, and it's going to be refreshing the information about the statistics. So even if, for instance, you as a timer, you're not really doing the bib assignment, but you want to keep an eye on a kind of a real-time basis on how the packet pickup is performing, you can keep that screen open and then just click the refresh button, and you will have real-time information about your packet pickup progress. So the next one is going to be the settings. So that's the settings for the app. So the app, and I think Denis in Quebec is going to be very happy. The app can speak French. Bonsoir, voilà. So the app can speak French. The app also can be in Spanish if you have Spanish volunteers, and obviously the app can be in English. And then you have a couple of options. So you can obviously disable the QR code if you don't want to use the QR code at all. It will just remove this, black button that I was showing to you on this, this black button here on the bottom right. That's gonna turn it off. If you don't want to use the scrolling list and you just want to use the search of the QR code, you can disable the scrolling list. Also, during your operation, you can decide whether you want to assign bib but not record the packet pickup. So you can pre-assign bib if you don't want to use the dynamic bib assignment and packet pickup at the same time. You can pre-assign bib and turn this off, and then the packet pickup flag will be turned to off. And then at race day, you can turn this on just to update the fact that the participant has taken his packet pickup. And then before we go to the print labels, which is a big topic, there is also a color scheme. So if you don't want, or some of your volunteers might get offense about the blue for the male and the pink for the ladies, you turn this off, and then when you go back to your participant list, everything is in kind of a neutral brown. So if you click on John Doe, even though it says female, everything is no longer color coded. Everything will be this kind of a brown. So I'm going to put it back to on. And I'm going to also show you the print beep labels. So the latest technology from iOS and Android allow the apps to print and to make a print. So I'm going to turn this on, and this is going to take you to, I'm going to search for Kevin, for instance. All right, Matt Callum. Oh, okay. And I'm going to click on this guy. And now, as you can see, there is at the bottom right, there is a printer icon. If I click on this icon, this is going to actually ask the operating system to print a label. The first time, it's going to ask you to select the printer. So these are, I would say, the 3 printers that I have on my network, and this one is suitable for printing labels. So I'm going to click on this one, and then automatically it's going to pre-show you what this label look like. And if you have your phone in front of you right now, what I would like you to do all is take your camera app, just open your camera app, whether you are using an iPhone or Android, and point your camera towards this QR code. What you're going to see is that your camera app is actually going to read that QR code and gives you a pop-up to take you directly to a web page. And actually what this QR code is completely in clear. That's the address of the result for that participant. So that's really the beauty of this QR code, that typically the kind of a label that you're going to be putting on the back of the bib. First, it shows that information are right, but also you can say to your participants, when you are done with the race, just use your phone, no app needed, just use the camera of your phone, look at this QR code, and that will take you to your result page. And I think this is really very awesome, a very awesome feature. So I'm going to show you now very quickly. To find the right page, I'm going to show you the settings. So I'm going to show you. So this is the printer that we've been using. I'm not going to dig into the printer thingy because that will take a while. And actually, Dennis is about to release a document that will take you into more depth about the printer. But I wanted to show you, which printer we've been using. And actually, I think that also Bruce has been using that printer quite extensively. So that's the printer, and it makes a label which is about 1 1/7 inch to 3.5 inches, and that's the kind of a printer that you can use. They resell on Amazon for about $125 or $130, just to give you an idea about, I would say, how much they cost. All right, so we're going to go back to the to the simulator. Right. So now I wanted also to show you what happens if you do some mistakes. Let's say I want to modify Connor and I make a mistake. I'm not putting any name. So as you can see, the update is not going to work and it's going to show you invalid entry. So I'm not going to go through all the messages of the app, but if your access is denied, if the QR code is not good, so yeah, let me go back to the QR code. So the QR code of the registrations, these ones are encrypted. So obviously no one can read the QR code for registration for 2 good reasons, because you don't want someone to reuse an old registration and show up at one of your races and get a bit. So the QR code for the registrations, the one that Kevin is creating as part of each race, are fully encrypted. And if they are not good, you will have the app will say invalid QR code, and that's all it will do and won't do anything else. So that's pretty much it. So yeah, across the app, every time there is an error, a message, you will have a very simple message letting you know that the app was not able to perform the task it was asked to do. So that's pretty much it. That's really everything that we wanted to show you in a kind of a very condensed way. And then I would say the last thing you can do is just, sign out and you are back to your screen.